Hello, my friends. How are you today? I am doing super good. I've just had like a super busy day, like nothing like too crazy, but just like the time was filled in, and like before you know it, it's like 8:30 at night and I'm sitting down to film. I just got back from the gym, and so yeah, like I don't know, I'm just feeling like really good energy and good vibes. I got up early today. I went through my whole morning routine. By now, you all know it's, get up, make my bed, meditate, do some dry brushing, brush my teeth, take a warm shower, followed by a freezing but cold shower. And it's so interesting. Like you like get these ideas, like from the universe, from, whatever you read, just kind of like around, like, you hear these things and then you're like, oh, okay, you hear it enough. And I'm like, okay, what the heck? I'll try it. Like, I'll give this whole cold shower thing a shot. And I try it, right? And like, I like it and I don't like it actually, but like, I like how, it's helping me to regulate. And like, now I'm like, even today when I was about to go into it, I'm like, okay, like, like I said, Chris and I had kind of like, it's just really tough communicating with one another. Like it's just awkward and it's difficult, like even being in the same room. And I'm like, okay, like I am getting it when I'm escalated, but it's like, I almost need to be like, approach it the way I approach, like when I'm going to be in his presence, it's going to be like when I'm about to walk into this, like I am nervous. I don't want to do it. Like my body is like, please don't. And, we get through it. So it's like, I need to kind of like work on practicing breathing before like our interactions and like kind of like ground myself. And that's like my strategy that I came up with today in the shower. I was like, okay, because it's like, I really want to be better. I really want to communicate better. And regardless of what like path and direction our relationship takes, like I still hold true, like all these situations, all these scenarios that we've run through with our kids, like there is going to always be a bond between he and I. We are parents of these kids, and these kids are the most important things to us both. And I would never take Chris away from them or them away from Chris. And I've been thinking a lot about the relationship lately, and I remember like, this for me is not a new thing. And even for him, like I think the challenge for him is, like as he said, is when we had this, when I said like I no longer, like I wanted to get a divorce and things, and then we decided collectively that we wanted to work on it and give it one more shot. And that's when we started going on dates and we started kind of like getting to know one another, and we began doing therapy and such. Like that was the time in which he fell in love again. And so like prior to that, like as he said, is like, he would have been like, okay, fine, but then now he fell in love again. And, like I was open to falling in love. Like I don't fall fast for anything. Like I'm a, slow and steady, have to think this out. And like, I was really giving it a real genuine shot when I found out there was like all these things that were going on behind my back, and like he wasn't always telling me the whole truth, and like in certain ways it was like he was also kind of conspiring against me. And like, and I get it, like he was having his own experience, and I can't negate like my part in his experience. All I can say is like for me, when it was like I was being really honest and vulnerable and laying it all on the table, and finally like getting okay with being like, okay, I'm gonna be honest, even though I know what I'm gonna say has the potential to hurt him. I just felt like the honesty, the honest hurt was much better than like delaying the hurt by like continuing the cycle of what I had been doing, was like just telling him what I thought he wanted to hear, and telling him the things that like, and I think there was a part of me, like I've said in here, it's like so many times, that like I suppressed who I was so much that it was like I kind of felt like that was who I was. Like there wasn't, it wasn't so much like I was just telling, it was like, oh, this is what I'm supposed to do. Like, I am just a robot. I have no feelings. I have no emotions. I have no opinion. I just tell him what he wants to hear. I do what he wants to do. If he comes home angry and yelling, I just concede, I try to make it better or whatever. So, like, as I've developed and gained more confidence and more tools and realized who I was and that I am also like a person having an experience too. I'm not just this extension of the other people to like make their lives a little bit better. It's been an experience. So, I did my cold shower this morning, and then I went off to my dance class, and I don't know, it's just like some days I'm like, I hadn't danced since Friday night, and I just was so excited to dance. I was so excited to hear the music. I was so excited to see the community, like the familiar faces that I don't go to Pleasanton that often, and like right now my time has been kind of limited because I have like a lot of things to do. And so, as much as I'm like, I want to take on more classes, I also want to take on like getting more things done. So I'm really trying to like balance it out and have some kind of self-control, because dancing is fun. It makes me feel good. It releases endorphins. Like I see people I like and all this stuff, but like I also need to work. So I'm trying to like balance that out, and like I'm taking on this new venture. And so, I want to allocate time to that every day. And so I have to make like, sacrifices. I have to make choices. It's like, like every decision and every choice has something. So I'm like, I want to keep it balanced where I'm still being able to get in my favorite dance classes. I'm still getting to see, some of my favorite people, and have fun, and also take on these other projects or finish up some projects that I've been like lingering on, and I've just been kind of stagnating and just kind of ignoring or whatever. So, I went to my class, I came home, I squeezed in some work, then I had to take Dylan to PT, and after PT, we had to go get some documents notarized because he's over 18, and, God forbid something ever happens to him. Like, I just feel like there's been so many times where like life just throws you curveballs. So like, even with my older one, my daughter didn't want to. And so of course I don't force her. I just say, here's the situation. It's an insurance policy. It doesn't have to be me you choose. It could be anybody on this earth, but have a power of attorney, have somebody that will advocate for you in the event that you're incapacitated and can't advocate for yourself. Or, so I can expedite in those situations, like I can make the best decisions for you, and I can fight for you, or whoever. Like, it doesn't have to be me. It could be your boyfriend. It could be your best friend. It could be, just somebody you trust. It could be your dad. It could be, you have siblings now, the 2 siblings that are over 18. It could be them. It could be a friend. Like, I don't care. Just somebody you love that is going to advocate for you. And I think that's super important. So if you have never done these documents, I would say, I'm not an attorney. I'm just a person who has found themselves in these situations where, my Aunt Betty was somebody who worked with the county, and these documents came in so helpful when they elected and nominated me as to be their power of attorney. It was, something that really helped, and especially like the medical one. I mean, there's like the durable one if you want to get like into like finance kind of like things. It just expedites things more quick, but I really didn't even like utilize them to the full power of what they were, besides like my uncle was bedridden and like would be like, can you go to Wells Fargo and get me out this much money? And I would do that, like without, having, he didn't have an ATM card or whatever. It was like old school. So it was just, going into the bank. So, stuff like that. Like, it's just important to like, again, their insurance policies. Hopefully you'll never need them. Hopefully my son will never need this, but in the event that there is ever something that happens, it is in place. I mean, you can't negate the fact that he's already had brain surgery. He's had things. So like, he technically has epilepsy. So like, we can't ignore that fact. And so, I was like, you don't have to, it doesn't have to be me. And he's like, Mom, you've done fine, like, doesn't matter, like, here. So we went and got those papers notarized, and then what else? Oh, and then I came home. My son was going to fly down to go see his girlfriend down in Southern California for Valentine's Day. What a little cutie. And then he was going to go see, after that, he's going to spend a week down there and then go see his college roommates, and, have a good time down there. So I'm super happy for him to, you know, get out and have that experience with his girlfriend and his besties. And then I came home. I did a little bit of eating because I hadn't eaten yet. Thankfully yesterday I had made like enough, like knowing that today was going to be one of those days where I was just in the car a lot, that I was like, I'm not going to have time to like sit here and make myself something. So I just prepped a lot of extra yesterday. And so it was super easy to like eat in between. Then as soon as I was done eating, I had to run and go get Tyler, chatted with him for a little bit, came home. I was like, all right, I'm going to do some of my, you know, like I know how approximately how many steps I move in a dance class. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to get it. So my steps are done. And, so when I come home from my workout, I can just start recording. I don't have to do more steps and things like that. So I find I really like that. I do find that in the evening, like I'm a little bit more tired. Like I am definitely fresher in the morning. But I haven't had that opportunity to do any recording in the morning. So, you know, maybe something I'll play with in a little bit, but, yeah. So, I ended up going to, after that, immediately taking my son to his soccer practice, which was like in Livermore right now at a college. That just began back with his like club soccer team, and he really loves that team. Like they are such like a brotherhood. Like they all check in on each other. They are very supportive of one another. They've gone to different schools. They were on different high school teams, whether it be varsity or junior varsity, some even on freshmen. And so they're really excited to all come back together again and support one another. So they went and did that. I dropped him off there. And then I was going to Fremont. And so it just happened to be that the lovely lady that opened her bakery, that I am just so proud, and I love hearing, you know, again, somebody's dreams, like go from a dream to fruition. And so when I walk into that building, I am walking into somebody's dream. And I know that's how most things are, right? Like you look around and like this hair clip, this was somebody's dream. Like somebody had this idea. They were like, my hair is pissing me off. Like this would be great. You know, this rock with the love on it. Like this was like this sign here. This is believe, like all these things around us, this chair, this was in somebody's mind, you know, and it is now like I'm sitting in this. So I just think that it's really cool. And it's just a great reminder of like all the possibilities within us. Like if she can do this, if the creators of the clip can do this, then why can't you and I do this? There's no reason we can't. The only thing in between us and our dreams is ourselves. So if we just get out of the way and get on the program and in the path, we'll be there. So I was like, okay, I'm going to just stop by, because she was having this like a special kind of like little gathering thing for the people that were so kind to donate. And she had like little tastings of things. And but I walked in, and when I went on Saturday, I had tried this lovely pistachio croissant, and it was, like I said, it was heavenly, it was divine. And then I also had tried this orange cream malasada, delicious. I loved it. But my heart is in the sweet business. And so I went and I saw it there. And it was like, you know, when they have those commercials and those things, and it's like, oh, the sun is shining on it, the light is there, and it's just glimmering. Yeah, that's how it looked to me, even though it really wasn't. That in my mind, time stood still for a moment. And I was like, are you selling those? And she's like, yes. And so I was like, I will take 3 if that's okay. I wanted to take them all, but 3 was good. And so I literally just need to share with you guys, this is my Valentine's treat to myself, because I love myself now. And so I deserve to buy myself a lovely, oh my gosh, I wish you can smell this. Like you can't. I know you can't really see, and I don't want to tip it and break my babies here. Don't those look so good? Oh my gosh, it is called, and I'm going to annihilate it. Oh my gosh, isn't that beautiful? Aren't they beautiful? I wish you could see the inside. It's just this cream and loveliness. Oh my gosh, I'm so excited about this. You have no idea how happy I'm so happy right now that my like life is complete. I love it. And what I love too is like I got to sit in there and just chat with her for a few minutes and just say like how proud I am and all those things I say on here. I'm like, it's just so beautiful. And you have your 3 girls here with you, and they're seeing this mom boss, like, who had this thing. And so she began to tell me her story and how she was a pianist, and then she had an injury, and then she was a piano teacher. And again, another person I know who plays the piano. And so I'm thinking here, one of these days, I have a whole heck of a lot of resources, but this one's like a way, like, this is like my retirement kind of plan. But so she ends up saying, and it's just kind of how it evolved was very, it wasn't like she woke up, wanted to, it was a little girl who wanted to be this wonderful French pastry artist, basically. And it just kind of evolved that way. And then here we were standing in her shop, and she's like, it just is so great because I get to combine all the things I like, my artistic side, and I get to be with my girls. And, it's just so beautiful to see. Like, doesn't that just make you so happy? And I was like, I really appreciate your vulnerability too, because you're not here saying everything is perfect and it just worked out. Like, you're so relatable because you're vulnerable and you're telling the truth, and you're saying, I don't know how to use the register. Like, I'm really good at the baking part. Like, my husband is really good. And I was like, no, I know. Like, I'm not good at technology, and I'm the president of a computer company. That, it's your strengths and your weaknesses. And she's like, yes, exactly. And so it just is so beautiful to support somebody and know, like, I could go into Safeway and go buy a treat. Obviously, it's not going to taste like this. But like the impact that you make when you're supporting a small local business is huge. And then just getting to develop this relationship with somebody where their story, I think is just so, it's just beautiful. And so it was just one of those days filled with that. And the funny thing was, this morning, as I was getting dressed, like, this bird came to my window and it was just watching me. Like, it was just the strangest thing. And it wasn't like bad or anything. So, I was watching the bird, and the bird was watching me, and then it flew off. It was a beautiful bird. And I was like, well, that was just interesting. And then, later on, when I took Dylan to PT, we were sitting there, and there was like a, FedEx truck in front of us. And so I backed up a little bit because I didn't know if he was picking up. So he had like a tray, like a trolley thing. I don't know, a little pushing cart thing. So I figured he was going to be taking out something big. So I backed up. So he had plenty of room. And we were sitting there for a moment. And all of a sudden, a blue jay comes and lands on my side mirror of the car. We were like, what the heck? And just looked at us. I'm like, what is this? This is 2 times today. Like, I never have birds just come and look at me. It was so bizarre. And like I said before, hummingbirds very specifically, I connect with my Aunt Betty and my grandma's. Like, always. Like, that's just always been a thing. And like, hawks are like my uncle. And so I'm like, I don't know who this bird is that's visiting me, but hi. Like, I like, maybe it's just a bird and there is no spirits connected that I know, or, somebody, I don't know what it is. Like, I think it was just super cool. And I just enjoyed watching this bird watching us. It was 2 different ones in 2 different places. So I thought, okay, we were clear across town at PT and then here at home. So that was interesting. And ew, by the way, my stinky tree that's in front of my window, that is so beautiful. It is the prettiest tree. It has these beautiful white blooms, and I've been in luck because it hasn't smelled. And today it had the pungent smell. I was like, I can't hang with that smell. But there was no, like, maybe that was why the bird was visiting. I don't know. So it was interesting. But then after I got Tyler, I did my running, and then I went and picked up my pastries, and then I went to the gym back again, and I did my thing, and I was just so happy to see everybody because I hadn't seen them since Friday or other days too. And I don't know, they're just all becoming like a family. Like, I just felt so genuinely happy today, seeing people and just seeing their excitement, and it was just such a lovely day. And I had read an article today, so there's this one lady in there, her name is Claudia. She's got this bundle of energy, she's always fun, she cracks me up every time she's in class, and young cute little thing. And we've talked in like various times throughout the thing. And then she was like, oh yeah, I have this thing, I'm Costco Claudia. So I started following her on Instagram, and I don't go on Insta very much, but I followed her on Facebook. And just listening to her story. And again, this is one of those people that it's just fascinating. She too is a piano teacher, so she has her own business teaching piano. And so it happened to be, I see there's an article, I think it was on CNBC or something, about her, and she had decided to live with her parents. And while she did that, she was saving all her money. She worked at Google, and then she realized she didn't like the 9-to-5 job, so she quit working at Google. She saved money, she joined investment clubs, and she just recently moved out, and she's subletting it for a fairly cheap price. She fell in love with like going to Costco. And so now she's got this whole like social media presence where she's Costco Claudia, and she tries on things and she shows the prices of different things. She's got this whole big following. And what I love about her story is, she went to the 9-to-5, she did that. She did these unconventional things, right? She lived with her parents until her 30s. So in order to save money, and I love that she had the courage to do things her own way. She was a yoga teacher, and then she opened her own business as a piano teacher. And now she's also doing this, and she's becoming this Costco influencer. And I just think it's, again, I was just like, beauty and brains, like it is so beautiful to see all these women. And I feel like I'm now like being surrounded by all these like girl bosses who are out there. And the common theme is, and this is what I want to say to you, is there wasn't like this thing that any of them were like, I want to do this when I grow up. Like, I want to be this. It was just, they kind of started exploring different things, and it's come up like holistically, and they've never been happier. And I feel like that's with me too. I never would have known like, hey, I'm going to sit here and videotape my stories, or I'm going to write a book and have my stories in it. And here we are, and this is what I'm doing. And I've never felt more alive doing anything else in my life. Like, I feel so confident in this. I feel okay to be me. I'm being vulnerable. I'm being honest. And as a result, like, I feel so much energy. I feel so fired up and fueled up every time I do this. And I sit down, and I know at some point I probably should have some kind of a plan or at least an idea of where I'm going, but it just comes to me. It's just, I feel like you get in that like state of what they call flow, and it just happens naturally. Nothing is forced, and I don't really want to edit. And I know that means that things are going to be in here like days today where I'm saying like and I'm being really conscious, like, oh my gosh, I keep saying like and I probably shouldn't be saying that. But if I'm out here and I make everything look perfect and polished and mastered, that's great, and that's really enjoyable to have a lovely finished product. But I'm not a finished product. I'm rough on the edges. I make mistakes. I say the wrong things. I do the wrong things, but I also do a lot of the right things. And if I have such a limited amount of time, if I'm sitting here trying to perfect me, and the whole point is, there is no perfection. I have no goal of perfection. I just want to do my best today. And today's best may include a lot of likes and a lot of ums. And I'm sorry if that really irritates anybody. There are a million polished up, beautiful YouTubes and podcasts and whatever platform this ends up going on. And that's just not me. I am here to say I make mistakes every day, and I try to learn from them. So I'll be a little bit more cognizant of, oh, I don't really like that I say that all the time. Perhaps I want to change it. But if not, if it's coming out and it's part of the conversation, then that's what it is. There's no perfection here. I am far from perfect. I'm trying to learn and be the better person that I feel I was meant to be. And it's not a forced thing. It's trying different things. and seeing if it works and then practicing them and integrating them into my life where it's sustainable. So now, like this morning, I was thinking about how, I'm making my bed. That had to be a conscious decision. And I know people are like, that's such a silly thing, but it had to be. And to have it like perfect and look, not perfect, but the beautiful, it wasn't just like, here, or whatever. Like the way, when I look at it, I feel pride. I have the blanket at the end of the bed. I have, the pillows chopped. I have as many pillows. I like a lot of pillows. So I have a lot of pillows on there. I have the color scheme I like. It is beautiful and peaceful to me. And I feel like that's important. And again, now, this year and these last few weeks, I've been trying to integrate the meditation into my life. And am I perfect? Have I done it 100% of the time? No, but I'm getting in the thing and I'm I'm pivoting, I'm adapting, I'm adjusting my schedule. Okay, I need to wake up this much earlier in order to, even though it's only 5 minutes, like just to get out of bed and get it going and get the music, I need to allocate 10 minutes to it or these things. So it's a process in which I need to make it fit if it's really important to me. And it has been really important to me. I think that it is also given me, this meditation has given me this place to try to silence my mind. And I recognize the challenge for me to silence my mind. I'm like, this is how my brain is going all the time. And so I think it's really just such a gift to give to myself, to be able to sit in silence, even if it's only 10 seconds, because I have more stuff coming in than out. And I do feel like I'm going to get a little bit more into maybe doing some more of the guided ones to help kind of teach me different methodologies and find what really works for me. Right now, it's just listening to kind of like music, and ideally it's an AirPod, whatever ear. So it's in my ear where I really feel immersed in it. And I do really well with like creek sounds and, little bird chirping. So I found what kind of music works for me. And originally I was just like adding anything to my more, I think it was called, Meditation Melodies was the name of that playlist. And, I am integrating more things that really speak to me versus everything. So it's definitely quality over quantity. And I'm making sure that the time fits my allotment so I don't have to look at it. It's just in the morning, I click one and I know, okay, it's time to go. It's go time. And so playing with also like how my positioning, like where I am, that's been another, challenge to say, okay, here's this. And, working it out. So for you too, like try different things and see what works. Again, like the dry brushing, that I know it's not like this big thing, but it's just very nurturing to myself twice a day for a couple minutes. And, it's something nice I can do to my body versus I've, beat it up with all the exercise and dancing and things I do. I know that it's hard, like fitting in the stretching. Like stretching is very important to me. I love it. It feels good. It releases tension. If I could stretch all day, that's another thing. Like I love to dance, but I could just stretch all day. If time allotted, it would be a great life, just stretching away all day, every day. But I don't. And it's so funny because my boys they just can't stand to stretch. Like we joke around, my son Brad is like the least flexible, he is so tight and stiff and he can't even touch his knees, let alone his toes. And, we joke around with him. I'm like, you should start a YouTube, call it Broga with Brad. And he was like, I can't do anything. I'm like, exactly. You show people, because this is how people are. You think people just start and they're all namaste vibes and they know what the heck they're doing and they're super flexible and can get into these poses that some things I'm like, what? How in the world are they doing? They're on their elbows and in the air and it looks beautiful. But this isn't. I'm a 47-year-old woman. No, I was like, I would watch you do Broga with Brad because I'd be like, wow, I'm actually kind of good. And like, I think it'd be cool to see how the evolution of somebody that, here we are, Mr. I can't touch my toes, to maybe he'll be able to touch his shin one day and then his toes. And, to see it does work with consistency and over time. Everything works with consistency over time. It just depends. What is that energy we're putting in? Where our focus goes, energy flows. And that's so, so true. And right now, like I have a few projects I'm not putting any focus or energy into, and nothing is getting done. They are sitting dormant, collecting dust. That's it. Out of sight, out of mind. But all the things that I'm putting energy into, that I have my focus and my attention, and they fire me up and I feel passionate about this, my dancing, my exercising, learning things, all the self-care books I'm reading, and self-help and personal development books. I'm blasting through those, and here we are with 20 projects that are collecting dust because I don't feel passionate about them, or I don't really know where to go at this point. Like I need more help at this time, and I only have so many hours in the day. So pick and choose your projects consciously. Like put your energy in the things that make you happy. Now we have to do everything, right? Like we still have to pay the bills. We have to do things. So yeah, it's not going to always be everything we like, but we can always shift our mindset and just get things done. So that's another thing on my mind, is I really need to crack down and better utilize my time in order to really get focused and get some of these other things that are kind of mentally draining me in the background, from my full energy and potential, because they are worries. They are, things that are eating at me. They pop in my mind when I'm doing my meditation. I'm like, okay, these things are bothering me more than I'm letting on. And, I just really need to make a plan. So if I have a plan and I put it on the schedule, it'll get done. Just like the thing with Dylan's notary today. It was a plan, it got done. Taking Brad to the airport, it was a plan, it got done. If I put on there what I'm cooking for dinner, it's a plan, it gets done. But if it isn't, like when there is idle time, which isn't a lot, then I'm like, oh, like, let's go on Facebook. Let's go read this book. Let's go read this article. Let's go do this. And I kind of get a little bit like lost and unfocused. And so I'm really working on that. And having like this plan to be like, okay, what is one thing at least I can do every day to achieve this dream, this want, this desire, whatever it may be. And so taking even just one little step, one little action to whatever it is. So like for this, the action is recording. And then I'm like, okay, that's like going to be a given. So what else can we do in addition to that? What other things can we do? Okay, well, we can start a LinkedIn. And so last week I didn't even have a LinkedIn. And now I have a LinkedIn with 6 connections. I'm really racking them up now. But I have 6 more than yesterday, or not yesterday, last week. So, like I say, everything starts slow, and 6 will turn into 7, and 7 will turn into 10, and 10 will into 11. And it's just a process. I'm not, the goal isn't to have 20,000 followers the first day. If I can reach one person, that's great. So really developing this brand and this persona that all connects all of my passions together so people can find me. That's the whole point. And then if they can find me, then they can communicate and talk with me and let me know things about them that fuel me, that inspire me. These stories that I'm telling you about Costco Claudia and Simone's Patisserie by Simone, I think it is. And I should get that right. But I think it is Patisserie by Simone. I'm not like a French person, so I'm going to try to patisserie. I can't. I need to Google how to say that. By Simone. And you see these people living their dreams, and here I am in the background like I'm going to do mine too. I'm doing mine too. And so every day that I do this, I feel more pride and I feel more confidence in it, and I want it to be better, and I want it finally, that's another thing. I have a big long 3-day weekend this weekend, and again, I was super excited because the freeway was supposed to get shut down, but it's supposed to rain, and so they're canceling the shutdown of the freeway. But I really want to dedicate, because there's so many like things that I want to do with this. I want to find, do I need better equipment? I mean, we're IT people here. What are the things? Like, get this set up and get this going and learn how to actually get this like on the air. And like I say, coming into my mind, I know that in the ideal world, I'm going to sound polished and, you know, not saying words like and again, I just keep going back to, it's the same thing if I ever did really go into, you know, which I'm considering too, is doing another channel and have that dedicated to dance. And, you know, since I have this certification, utilizing it, I really want to publish it on a first go. Like, I understand when I'm in these classes, I make mistakes. When I'm in the class, I know he looks flawless. And in my mind, I say he is flawless. So I don't think he makes mistakes. I'm not going to believe that. I'm just not. He's too good. If he does, he plays it off so dang well that we don't even have a clue. I just think, oh, he's just wanting to go with the other hand today. You know, he's the boss. So, okay, he's trying to challenge us, you know? So I just want to say, like, we're real. And the people you're listening to, the people I want to listen to, I want to listen to real people. I want to hear people in their natural thing, not the perfect polished makeup on, hair done, production. I think there's so much of that out there. You know, a lot of our idols and influences and people that we look at on TV and shows and Instagram and Facebook and all those things are just showing people at perfection. And it's difficult to see people at perfection when you're nowhere near perfection. I don't have the time to be perfection. I don't have the time to put on makeup. Even when I put on makeup, I am by no means a makeup artist. I'm doing the same makeup style I've done since somebody taught me in the 1990s. So I'm not even sure if the way I do makeup is the best way to do makeup. For a woman who is obviously still not in her 20s when she learned it. You know, I have hooded eyes. I have a big nose. I have a long head. Like, I have a lot of things that, you know, are obstacles. I have wrinkles. I have, that's okay. It's part of who I am. I can't take those things away, or maybe I could go and get plastic surgery and, you know, improve the way I look. For who? For what? If I wanted to for myself, okay, now that's a conversation. But I'm not out here doing any of these things I do to prove anything to anybody, to get anybody's, you know, to get anybody to like me. You're going to like me or not. And I don't think that if my hair's straight today or curly or, you know, fresh out of the gym and I didn't have time, I'd rather spend my time talking with you. And I think that this has been a philosophy of mine for a long time. So when my kids were little, Chris would come home and the house was a mess. And he would get all flustered and frazzled. And he'd be like, why is there crap everywhere? And, you know, he'd just come in and start cleaning up. And I was like, look, here's the deal. I'm not going to spend my time sitting here cleaning the whole time and you wasting this time I have with the kids. The amount of time I have with my kids in life is finite. I'm lucky right now that I see my 24 and 22-year-old as much as I do. I recently saw this study, and this study was showing, you know, the amount of time you spend with your children, and it starts from, you know, birth until, you know, their 80s or whatever, your 80s. It shows the amount of time you're with your coworkers. It shows the amount of time you're with your spouse. It shows the amount of your parents. And, you know, with your kids, it was like this spike, and then it went down and plateaued. So I'm over here on borrowed time with my kids, and I knew that from the jump. And, you know, to me, it wasn't important to have this perfect, clean, flawless house, but not spend time with my kids. And I know a lot of people don't get that because it's like, it's all about the look. And like my brother would come over and he'd be like, oh my gosh, you guys just have toys and clutter everywhere. It's a big mess and da-da-da. I'm like, yeah, it's a house well lived in. The kids are having fun. There's art projects everywhere. You have 4 different kids with 4 different interests who bop from interest to interest. So today they had some trains, and then they wanted to incorporate some of the Hot Wheels into it. And then Karina wanted to bring in her dolls, and they were on it. And then she wanted to draw this whole art project around it. And that was the prize at the end. So, and I just let it be. I just let them be. And, you know, at the end, I'd be like, okay, we're going to play a game now, or clean it up. You know, it's a cleanup game. You know, it wasn't my job to do all the cleaning. I would do the main kind of stuff, but they can help throw their Legos back into a bin, and I had a lot of like things to organize, and I did a lot of bins for whatever reason, and then they would be on the shelf, and it would be just bins of Legos, bins of trains, different kinds of trains, bins of cars, and a lot of the boy stuff was like bigger and bulkier than the girl stuff. But she too had bins with these Polly Pockets, and bins with Barbies, and bins with her Bratz dolls, bins with all kinds of stuff. A lot of art too. That was like smaller kind of stuff. And so it wasn't these big bins. The toys were always very like the, big Legos, little Legos. So, I think I learned early on that the thing that was important to me was not the appearance. The thing that was important to me was the heart. And I think that's who I am. I mean, I don't care anymore. I know I'm leaving myself very susceptible. I'm leaving a lot of things that have been very sensitive subjects to me, and I'm leaving them out on the table. Things that I wanted to hide, and I didn't want anybody to know, and I was in such shame about. And I remember, so we live in a very small townhouse, and I remember just being so ashamed. I never wanted the kids to have people over. Or if they did, I was like, oh, I'll pick them up. Like, I never really wanted anybody to know where I lived. I was just so embarrassed living in this like very affluent community, and everybody had houses, and everybody had nice cars, and, very high incomes, and here we were with all these kids living in a very small townhouse, and I was very ashamed. Like, I didn't want anybody to know where I lived, because I felt like I would be judged or not liked, or, viewed as not being a good mom. But again, this was a conscious choice. Like, I sat there and I was making a lot of money before I had kids. And once I had the kids, I worked for a little while they were, little, but it was really hard to juggle. And I remember at one point, Chris was like, well, I can be the stay-at-home dad and you can go work because you make so much money. And I was like, I only get these kids again for this a little amount of time of my life. I'm not willing to sacrifice that for anybody. And again, I went back to like, nobody is going to be a better parent to these kids than me. I'm creative. I am smart. I'm resourceful. I am a disciplinarian. But I am also like a friend to them. So yeah, I was not willing to let him be the stay-at-home dad, and that did not work for me whatsoever. And so finding this way to have our own business where I can do work at night and still use my brain and feel like I was, a functioning part of the financial part of this family, and supporting and helping him to grow the business was something that I really enjoyed. That challenge. It was, again, very draining because here it was all day with the kids, and then all night after the kids went to bed, 9 o'clock at night, I'd be up working, making connections, composing emails to be sent the next morning to try to solicit business, creating contracts with people, hiring on people. Like, all these things went on in the late nights. And then, you have kids waking up in the middle of the night when I just fall asleep. And then here you go, 7 a.m., you're starting it all over again. And I think that there wasn't a whole lot of, especially like it seems like from Chris, because I didn't like bring in a paycheck per se, there was like a lot of like forgetfulness of how much I did contribute to the business and contribute to its success. And I think that really hurt me. And not that I really needed any kind of, I didn't need any kind of appreciation or any kind of gratitude. I didn't do it for that. But I think what hurt was more or less when the comments would come, it was like, you don't do anything, you don't have a job. Those kind of things were really hurtful because I'm raising 4 kids. And then I had read around that time, like there was an article that, like a stay-at-home mom, if they were like saying if she was, here's her value out in the workforce. And it was like something like $150,000 per kid. So I was like, quite honestly, I'm making $600K just from the kids alone then, here it is. And then plus I'm bringing in all this other stuff to help for the business. So, I think that that was a challenge to me. And, because I'm okay with somebody saying something. And if I really wasn't doing anything, it wouldn't have hurt my feelings because that would be the truth, right? But when I really am doing something and somebody says something of me, it just like it breaks my heart. It it's I know this to be true, and this is my integrity, this is my heart and soul, and I'm putting in all this extra effort when everybody else is asleep or watching TV. I don't stop. And even when the kids were awake, like sometimes I would they remember I'd be making calls. I'd be like, shh, the snapping, and then, they knew the snap and the face, like, on the phone, and they would come like yelling or come in and just be kids like, mom, and I'm like, this is before COVID. So, we were trying to sound professional here and not have kids in the background and lose these contracts that I had with these big companies. And, I did a lot of work, and, I feel sad that that gets forgotten sometimes, but I'm okay with it now. Like, it doesn't come up, or if it does come up, I'm just like, whatever. But I remember that being like a very kind of sensitive subject. I think it just kind of like diminished. It made me feel like a diminished value, and I have so much value, and I have so many things to share, and I just felt really kind of hurt by that. So I don't know. I don't even know why that came up, but I'm sure that there's been times that you too have like done things and somebody's kind of made you feel less than. And so I think I have been able to use those experiences to really no longer depend on or desire or require the feedback from somebody else when I know what the truth is. And I think that that's just an easier place for me to be, is I know what I'm doing. I know what effort I'm putting in. And so to sit there and argue or allow you space in my head or in my heart to say that I'm something that I'm not is just, well, that's your own opinion. That's your own thing. And I'm not going to sit here and defend myself. If that's the way you see me, that's the way you see me. If that's the way you see the situation, that's the way you see the situation. And the great thing about life is there's so many people. You don't need to be around me. You don't have, if I'm bringing this kind of energy to your life, like there's a whole other lot of people. It doesn't have to be around me. So I think learning that has been really helpful to myself. And I hope that you have that opportunity to say, people are going to say and do things, and you have no control over that. So what you do have control over, again, is how you react and how you respond, and working on that and practicing those little things, little tools to say, no, I know the truth. I know who I am. I know what I've done. I don't need to prove it to you, and to let things roll off your back. So I think that being imperfect is very human and it's very real, but it does leave you susceptible to criticism or not being liked. But that's okay. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with it. I mean, I would prefer, if you don't like me and you don't like this platform, then move along. There's no reason to, if you want to give me some constructive feedback, I'm all for it. If you want to just say something to be hurtful, I would really ask yourself, well, does that make you feel better? Or, is there a purpose to that? And, how much better would the world be if you just said something nice, or you said nothing at all? And I know we learn these things, right? We're just these products of, again, the filters that our environment, our parents, our grandparents, who we're surrounded with, our friends, and they all influence us. And you know that feeling like when you hang out with somebody who swears a lot, suddenly you're swearing all the time, and then you're hanging around somebody who doesn't swear and you're not swearing. If you swear, you feel like, ooh, you really are kind of like a chameleon a lot of times, and we kind of blend into our environments. And so I don't know what kind of environment you're in if you want to, be harsh and pick on people. But all I can say is Maybe change your environment and be around people who are uplifting people and helping people. Go volunteer. I mean, gosh, there is this gentleman, and I don't know his story, and I'm always very curious, but there's this gentleman who's been sitting on the side of the road for as long as I've been going to the gym, and I know it must be longer. And, he has this little spot, he has this little sign, and he's there day in and day out. And when he isn't there, and I've seen a few times people talk to him and people bring him things. And I just think it's, you drive along this route, you see that there's somebody else, and he sells fruit. He's got his colorful little cart, and he sells fruit. And I just am like, I love the hustle, A, over here. And then B, I love the dedication. Like, I don't know why or what your cause is. He has a sign it says call ACLJ or something. And it's interesting. I don't know what it is. And I've always been curious to like pull over and find out more about him and his story. And I think about him, like, especially when it gets cold at night and things like that, or if it's really hot. And I think, what can I do to help? Like, what could I bring him, or what's his story? Like, I don't have any criticisms or any kind of, this is his life. I don't know. This is his choices. And he's there and he does this day in and day out. And I don't know why. And it's not my business to judge what he does or how he chooses to live his life. It's just, that's his life. Those are his choices. And so I think that, again, I was going back to like, if you volunteer, I've volunteered at like food kitchens and homeless shelter things. And you just find different stories. You find different people, and it feels good to give to the world, and to much, much better than it is to take. So give something kind, a smile, a wave. Today, when I was leaving the gym, like I said, I was having such a good time. I had my radio on now, and I was bopping in the car, and I'm smiling. And this guy, he had the right of way, so I'm stopped here, and he's going, and he just looks over. He got the biggest smile. He waved at me, he was just smiling still one. So I got behind him. I could still see him in the room mirror smiling. I don't know what was going on in this guy's life, but suddenly, I'm over here, and I didn't even mean to, but I spread some joy to him. And so it's that easy, just be kind, be out there. Everybody just wants to be seen. Everybody wants to be loved. Everybody just wants to feel kindness from another person. And so what can you do today to focus on doing something for you, whether it be meditating or, a massage. Do something that makes you happy, a dance, a run, playing pickleball, something. Find something that makes you happy. Do you like photography? Go take some pictures. Do you like cooking? Go take a cooking class, or even everything, like even if money, I know it's really tight and it's really hard right now. Everything is so stinking expensive, but that's the beauty of YouTube and the internet. Everything is available at the tip of your fingers. I mean, even all these books that I'm reading, there's some that I would actually buy, but I just get them at the library for free. I don't have to pay for anything. Yes, sometimes I have to wait on hold, and sometimes it's a couple weeks, and I'm like, oh, this one's available now. I just put a bunch in my cart, and when they're available, they're available. And I always have so many that I've checked out that I'm in the process of reading too, that it's like, oh, okay, fine, here's this one. So there's so many options out there for you to find ways to find things that make you happy. And after you've done that, find a way, like, oh, today I'm going to do one thing that makes me happy, and I'm going to do one thing to make somebody else happy. And like literally as small as a smile, a hi at the cashier. How's your day? What made you smile today? I mean, you can ask so many questions. You can give somebody a compliment and really change somebody's day, or at least just influence them. And if somebody's feeling good, they're more than likely, they're going to go off and give somebody else a compliment. So you're just like a little ripple in the life, and you're just making this world better by making that choice. And I know it's not always easy. I know some days are tough and it's hard, and some days there's a struggle to get out of bed, and you feel sad, and things happen unexpectedly. I have another friend, and I just read about, and it breaks my heart. Her husband is like super dad extraordinaire. He has 3 girls. He is the quintessential girl dad. He was at every cheer comp. His daughter plays lacrosse. He was at everything. Super, super dad. Very involved. Would take the girls on vacations because the mom couldn't always fly. Just really great guy. And he's been fighting cancer. And then he beat it. And then he fought it again. Then he beat it. And he just went into the hospital. And he was having some back pain. And it turns out there's a tumor. And he now has to have like very aggressive radiation and very aggressive chemo and stem cell treatment. They're very aggressive measures to prolong life. And you think about it again, that could be any of us any day. So why not enjoy our life? Why not spread joy while we can? And you just don't know what anybody's going through. Like if you, and I admit I've done it before, if you hug at somebody, you don't know what that person is going through. You have no idea what is happening in their mind and in their life. You just don't. When you walk past somebody at the gym or in this grocery store, you have no idea most of the times what is going on. And sometimes somebody could be really battling something really challenging for them. And they could use a little bit of kindness to remind them that life isn't all this bad that's kind of going on in their life that could overwhelm you. I mean, she's again vulnerably sharing the story about her husband in a very public manner to get support, that's not why, but and she's getting support and love and prayers. And you're just, when you're in that situation, you're so desperate for anything. And you need your tribe, you need your people around you to lift you up, because sometimes you need that wind beneath your wings. It's hard. It's a challenge. It's tough. It's not fair. And, I remember thinking that a lot, like, it's just not fair. It's not fair throughout different things. And it would take me back every time I would try to say it. And I'm like, okay, my dad would say, like, I never told you life was fair, And so I'm like, this is so true. This is true. It isn't. But, there is beauty in all of it. Like she was saying in there too, the support from everybody, every kind message I've read to him, they all mean something. Even just the words, even the prayers. Take 2 seconds and think about it. Send positive vibes. It means so much when life is giving you these battles. And so if you're experiencing something like this, you know how much it means. And so I say all this to say, one of the things Bradley and I used to do when he was a little kid is I had this idea when he was in the hospital. He spent his first Valentine's Day in the hospital. And I got this idea and I was like, what we're going to do is we're going to make Valentines and take them to the heart kind of ward or whatever there. And so I didn't really realize it wasn't just hearts. Like it was like you're going to the pediatric ICU. It could be hearts, it could be anything. But I was on board. I was like, okay, whatever. So the first 2 years we would always take them to the hospital where he was had his heart surgery. And once he got into preschool, I remember I had talked to his preschool teachers about it, and I thought it would be really cool if his preschool classmates would do it too. And so they're like, we would love for you to come in and read a story and share about Bradley's heart. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is kind of interesting. I never would have thought about it. So I found this really cool book about hearts, and then I ended up like drawing this whole thing and cut it out, and it had like a heart with a hole in it and a band-aid, like, something very simple for the preschoolers. And I explained it. And the funny thing is like, Bradley must not have remembered because we never talked about it with him. I don't even know if he really realized it was him, because he didn't really know until he was in 4th grade what had happened. So I don't know if he tuned it out, or was just thinking this was a story about somebody else. And so the kids ended up making all these amazing Valentines with the glitter and the stickers and the stamps. and then I told the story, and Brad was with me and everything. So it was really cool. And then we would take them all bundled up to the pediatric ICU, and we would deliver them to the kids. And so nowadays they have electronic ones. And so we no longer go and do all that. Although I would love to, but I think, with COVID, with all their, things, they're not going to just let us in anymore. It was a little bit different back then. And now I just do electric ones. So like I get these things from Stanford and stuff. And so I'll write out an electric. I think it sounds so old. Like it's like an email one. So they send them to them they flash them, I guess, on their TVs or whatever, however they disperse them. But it's really fun. And so tomorrow's Valentine's Day. And like I said, I have my wonderful Valentine's treats. I am so freaking excited for. You have no idea. And so I'm trying to think like where I should go take myself out to lunch, and maybe I think only Dylan is home because Brad's out of town. So I might take my little buddy Dylan. Maybe I'll take Tyler out of school or something, and go out to lunch and then have my amazing treats. Oh my gosh, it sounds like heaven. And then I'll go do my dance, and I'm really excited for that. And so the theme for me for this year was, since this has been like the first year that I really kind of felt this way, was like this, I may not have, my relationship with Chris may not be where I would like to be with my husband. But right now I'm going to focus on what the love I do have is the love from myself. And so the fact that I can say that I love myself and feel that, and I take care of myself, and reflecting that is so important. And so I really want to celebrate my love for myself this year. I think that that's really important, and do things that make me feel really joyous, such as eating delicious treats and dancing and seeing my friends at the gym. Like, these are important things for me to make me feel very loved, and to make myself feel like I love myself. And I am so proud of myself to be able to say that and feel that hole that consumed me for so long, that I was searching for in others, and I had the love all along inside. And so I will end there. We can talk more about love tomorrow on the lovely Valentine's Day. And so I hope for you guys that you have a wonderful Valentine's Day with your loves, and if you don't have a love, then I hope you love yourself. Do something very loving to yourself, or to your kids, or to your friends, and just enjoy the day. And love doesn't have to be this crazy thing. Like, love could be anything. If your way of showing love is to smile, to share some chocolate, to share some goodies, whatever it is, go out there and share a little bit of love. Okay. So thank you so much again for listening to me. I hope you have had a great time, and I appreciate you so much. So have a wonderful evening, morning, night, whatever it is. Bye.